Have you ever wondered where you stand financially? Many of us assume that being lower class means not making a lot of money, but it's more complex than that. It's not just about your salary, it's about how you manage your money, your debts, and even your financial habits. In this video, I'm going to break down some clear signs that you might be in the lower class without even realizing it. Living paycheck to paycheck. Let's start with one of the most common signs, living paycheck to paycheck. This doesn't just mean you don't have much money left at the end of the month, it means that all your income goes directly to paying for basic necessities like rent, bills, and groceries. After that, there's nothing left over. You're constantly waiting for your next paycheck just to make ends meet. Why is this a problem? Because it leaves you vulnerable. If you live paycheck to paycheck, it means you don't have a financial buffer for emergencies. If your car breaks down or you have unexpected medical expenses, you'll struggle to cover those costs. This constant stress can affect your mental health, and over time it creates a cycle that's really hard to break out of. Financial experts suggest increasing your income or reducing your expenses, but that's easier said than done when you're already stretched thin. Skipping or paying bills late. Have you ever had to skip paying a bill or delay it because you didn't have enough money? Maybe it was your utility bill, rent, or even a credit card payment. This is another strong sign of being financially overextended and potentially lower class. When you're forced to make decisions like, do I pay my electric bill or buy groceries this month? That's a sign your income isn't covering your basic needs. The problem with skipping bills is that it doesn't just hurt your finances in the short term. Late payments can damage your credit score, making it harder to get loans or even rent an apartment in the future. Plus, unpaid bills often come with late fees, which makes your financial situation even worse. One way to manage this is to contact your service providers. Many companies offer payment plans or extensions, but even with those, it's a constant juggling act if you're financially stretched. Falling behind on debts. Debt is a part of life for most of us, but if you're constantly falling behind on payments, it might be a sign that you're living beyond your means. Think about it. If you're struggling to pay off credit cards, student loans, or other debts, it might not just be poor budgeting, it could be that your income isn't enough to support your current lifestyle. High debt can spiral out of control. When you start missing payments, interest builds up, and soon, you owe even more. Not only does this affect your credit score, but it can also make it harder to qualify for new credit or loans in the future. It's a tough cycle. The more debt you have, the more interest you pay, and the harder it becomes to escape from the financial hole. A key rule of financial stability is that your housing costs, whether it's rent or a mortgage, shouldn't be more than 30% of your income. If you're paying more than that, you're likely stretching yourself too thin. Think about it. If a huge chunk of your income goes just to keeping a roof over your head, that leaves little room for anything else like saving for the future or covering unexpected expenses. For many people, especially in areas with high housing costs, this is a tough reality. You might not have a choice but to pay more than a third of your income on rent. But if that's the case, it's a sign that either your income isn't keeping up with your basic living expenses, or you may need to adjust your housing situation to something more affordable. Either way, when housing eats up too much of your paycheck, it leaves you vulnerable to financial instability. Having no savings is another clear indicator of being lower class, and unfortunately, this is a reality for a large part of the population. Studies show that about 1/5 of people have no savings at all. If you're not putting anything away each month, even a small amount, it means you have no financial cushion in case something goes wrong. Even more importantly, having no emergency fund can put you in a dangerous financial situation. An emergency fund is money set aside specifically for unexpected events like a job loss, medical emergency, or urgent repairs. Without one, you're forced to rely on credit cards or loans, which can quickly lead to debt. Experts recommend having 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in an emergency fund, but if you're struggling to save even a little, that can feel impossible. Another financial red flag is having a high debt-to-income ratio. This means that a significant portion of your income goes toward paying off debt. For example, if more than 40% of your monthly income is going toward debts like credit cards, car loans, or student loans, that's a clear sign that your finances are stretched too thin. The more debt you carry, the more interest you pay, and the harder it becomes to pay off the principal. If you're relying on credit cards to cover basic living expenses because your income isn't enough, it's a sign that you're either overspending or not making enough money to meet your needs. Education plays a huge role in your financial future. Limited access to higher education can prevent you from accessing better-paying job opportunities. If you or your children don't have the money for college or even for additional training or certifications, it can trap you in lower-wage jobs. While college isn't the only path to success, it does increase your chances of moving up the economic ladder. Those who don't have access to higher education often find themselves stuck in jobs with fewer opportunities for advancement, which can keep you in the lower class longer than you might realize. There's no shame in receiving government assistance when you need it. Programs like food stamps, housing aid, or Medicaid exist to help people during tough times. But if you find yourself consistently relying on these programs to make ends meet, it's an indicator that your income is too low to cover basic living expenses. Government assistance is meant to be a temporary safety net, but for many people, it becomes a long-term necessity because their income isn't enough to support themselves or their families. If this sounds familiar, it could be a sign that you're part of the lower class. So, if you find yourself relating to more than a couple of these signs, you might be lower class without even realizing it. But remember, recognizing the signs is the first step toward taking control of your financial future. The good news is, there are always ways to improve your situation, whether it's through budgeting, side hustles, or seeking better paying opportunities. Understanding where you stand financially can help you make informed decisions moving forward. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this.